So following up that root video, I mentioned that there are plenty of topics that come to mind. This is one of them. The fact that an entity like this exists, period, baffles me, let alone us being able to go up against it. And I'm talking about Chaos back in LB5. I've always been impressed by the concept of its design. I feel like it was one of the best parts of LB5, and I really want to get into why this should weave back into the origin discussion that we had before. Now, Chaos, he's one of the biggest entities that we've ever faced. Still, Gordoff even mentioning by the time that we were in the Lost Belt that he's never seen anything like this, and that's after we took down Zeus, right? There's a lot of things going on when we go against this character. For one, you have the fact that all of the Greek pantheon, the machine gods, originated from him. And by extension, everything else would have come from him also. No, wait. Ares said that thing was called chaos. Then that would mean the true nature of the being peering down on us from a crack in the sky is the source of every god in all of Greek mythology. And then of course you have the huge eye just appearing through the rift. That's the way that we perceive it. But even the way that we're looking at it up front is just what we're being allowed to see. It gets even more complex than that as we go further through the story. Grand Lancer Romulus says that thing is nothing less than a colossal interstellar mothership, the spherical space-time fortress known as Chaos. They are the being from which all of the machine gods originated. The truth is, all 12 Olympians, including Zeus, were nothing more than a way for Chaos to divide their countless functions. They are the source of the Titans, Olympus, and every machine god. They are a supernatural god that has become one with the gaps of our universe's space-time. Their core is the very eye you see peeking out there from within the rift. So that's one point right here. You see how Grand Lancer speaks of Chaos with such high regard, even more so than Zeus. And in Greek myth, Zeus and then Kronos, of course, are always being regarded as the end-all be-all. Maybe you can even throw in the divine beast Typhon, because we know that he was an entity of that stature, and the verse regards him as a very powerful entity also. He was the source of one of the wars to begin with, the Gigantomachia. Even with all that being said, all three of these beings, whether it be Kronos, Typhon, or Zeus, at their best would still just be a fragment of what Chaos is truly capable of, since he is where they truly originate from. And this is one of the main reasons why I wanted to put forth the idea that us going against Chaos has to be one of the closest fights that we've had of going against the root in the series. Haven't had a fight like that before it, haven't had a fight like that since. To me, Chaos is operating like that true Abrahamic god. Because when you think about the way Zeus is conceptually written, even in LB5, if he absorbs all the machine gods, he would still have to be lesser. Even what he did, absorbing all of the pantheon, it wouldn't be enough, because the whole point of the Greek pantheon is that the powers are diluted. As Grand Lancer Romulus mentioned here, one god has this thing, one god controls that thing, and so everything by law is inferior. Getting into the next thing, that being the conceptual build of Chaos. Chaos plays with a lot of different ideas. One naturally being the primordial chaos before the world started. That's part of where Chaos comes from. But then another idea is the Dyson sphere. He says the truly massive shell that makes up their colossal body uses a star from an ancient distant system for its core. In terms of sheer scale, this god of the heavens far surpasses our entire planet. A colossal structure covering a star? You mean like a Dyson sphere? A Dyson sphere, originally named of the physicist who conceived it, is a theoretical construct. It was a thought experiment of an artificial structure designed to completely cover a star in order to make use of its energy. This thought experiment was then brought into Fate, and they explained to us that this eye that we're seeing is Chaos covering said energy and using it like an infinite space battery. If you take it out of Fate, and this is the scientist Freeman Dyson right here, a hypothetical megastructure that encompasses a star and captures a large percentage of its solar output. The concept is a thought experiment that attempts to imagine how a spacefaring civilization, a civilization traveling through space, would meet its energy requirements once those requirements exceed what can be generated from the home planet's resources alone. Because only a tiny tiny fraction of the star's energy emissions reach the surface of any orbiting planet, building structures encircling a star would enable a civilization to harvest more energy. And so Chaos is exactly like that in the story, right? And I also believe he's one of the most accurate entities when you talk about pulling an idea over. But you're now saying such a sphere truly exists and has for eons at that? That would make Chaos here a god that embodies every single concept and natural phenomenon under the sun. No, even that fails to do it justice. That root tie is sounding very likely with comments like this one. Now, when we talk about the root, it's the exact same thing, and I saw somebody bring this up in the video we did on that. How to even describe the root is such a place beyond our reasoning that even trying to bring it to words would be taking away from the gravity of what it actually is, because that just makes it seem like it's anything that we've come to know in this world, and it's not. And he's saying the exact same thing here. He basically said it's bigger than everything that exists, and that's still not good enough. That's still sullying its name. We're now up against a star capable of covering every centimeter of the sky. And by this, he does mean he's using the star as energy. He's not calling Chaos a star itself, so people don't conflate that. So why is this thing only showing up now? To protect Zeus? No, Zeus's divine core is well and truly gone. That's right, Zeus is no longer with us. I expect that Chaos there has shown themselves in order to carry out Zeus's will in his stead. But this is all wrong. Zeus wished to preserve this civilization to keep it alive as long as possible. However, Chaos has no particular feeling towards Earth. Chaos's highest priority is preserving the fleet. So Chaos means to absorb not just Olympus, but every resource on this planet's surface and return to voyaging across the sea of stars. Chaos has manifested. They will soon begin harvesting the planet's resources and will then revert the planet's surface to its primordial state. In accordance with the Interstellar Migration Treaty, 37% of this unregistered planet's volume will be consumed. All intelligent life forms on this planet are encouraged to evacuate immediately. And that's the thing. I've always believed that us surviving against Chaos was to a degree silly, because even with all the help we had, the buffs, the true ether of us being in Olympus, the help of the gods, we still shouldn't have made it out in one piece. It's just that great of a being. Right after we beat Zeus, the moment that Chaos appeared, he literally beamed Ares, the god of war, in an instant with a ray that was faster than light itself. And Ares had to die protecting us. And Grand Lancer Romulus had to jump in, putting up his field to protect us. A solitary beam fires from the eye, traveling faster than light. Only Romulus and the Crimson Machine could react in time. They both moved immediately to defend against the impossibly swift threat. Romulus put up a bounded field to protect the Chaldeans, while the Crimson Machine God used his own body, a set of armor made from holy adamant steel and reinforced with conceptual defense, to block the attack. Ares' readings have completely disappeared. Just like that. This man showed up, Ares gone. And Ares helped us beat Zeus. He died saving your lives. His spirit origin has already been vaporized. He was killed by a ray of sunlight, a great authority that even exceeds that of Apollo in his prime. And we know Apollo is a literal god of the sun. He's a god of the bow. So he has the power and the accuracy behind what he's doing when it comes to his authorities. But like I mentioned before, the pantheon is just chaos fragmented. So even with Apollo having that authority, it's just a modicum of what chaos can actually do. Now keep in mind what just happened, right? Mind you that the chaos we went up against was nerfed to 3% of its functions, because earlier Zeus mentioned that he used 97% of its functions to even send them over here. Our very universe was on the brink of death, so our flagship Chaos exhausted 97% of their resources to send us to your universe. We spent thousands upon thousands of years looking until there were only a scant few of us left. And then he goes into how he found our planet and said, oh, well, we'll just take their shit. marvelous. So right there, even out of Zeus's mouth, what we've seen from him, which is easily one of the greatest feats in the verse, that still doesn't even scratch the surface. If we go back to the description of chaos, even in the story, you have mass mentioned, and their name means a hole in the sky, a void. And if you go back to what Ryogi was saying, void shiki, she also regards the root as a void. And so this is what I mean by chaos playing with multiple ideas. A lot of people may have missed this, since what they try to push the entire time is the star, the Dyson sphere, the energy that chaos itself is using to operate for the civilization. It's not even for chaos, it's for the people that was living on chaos. But they focus on that, and you'll miss the fact that it's a mixture of both things. And then you have chaos's defense. What we see from chaos is just the straightforward perspective. But conceptually, there is an invisible labyrinth surrounding where even the best of geniuses couldn't have got through to chaos the way that we did, and that's only because we cheesed it. We had Grand Lancer help us towards the end to form a straight pathway. Now, we dealt with a lot of mazes, a lot of labyrinths in the verse. Kanev had his labyrinth. Kirisugu said, you know what, alright, fuck that labyrinth, I'm just gonna blow the shit up. You had the labyrinth from Galvaroso that protected his workshop. 35 layers of bounded field, and Strange Fake Hassan was able to bypass that with the extent of his ability. I honestly don't think that most servants would have been able to do that. I think it was specifically because he was an assassin, and because it was that Hassan in particular. You have the Sakura labyrinth, which we literally couldn't get through without BB's guidance and the other help that we received from people like Ren and Ronnie. They basically gave us a walkthrough to get through the maze because it was so complex. The labyrinth that's under the clock tower, that being the spiritual tomb of Albion that trails into the reverse side of the world, one that even Albion himself couldn't finish getting through, and anybody else that tries to go through there often never comes back, at least if you go deep enough. And then you have Chaos's maze, and here's Nemo right here. Current airspeed is 27,000 kilometers per hour. This is how fast we were going, but I still can't get a read on our distance to Chaos. I can see Chaos with the naked eye, but they're still not registering on our sensors. Unless something changes, I don't think the storm border will ever make it to Chaos, not even if we had a million years. Gordolf says, what do you mean? I see it right there. No, we can't. The only reason it looks that way to us is because we all have our simple human senses to perceive it. But the distance to Chaos, or rather the route to that void, is absurdly complicated. Exactly. It might look like we're going in a straight line, but we're actually going every which way but straight ahead. Whoa, I just took a look at our course on the map, and it looks like some sort of jigsaw puzzle, and a three-dimensional one at that. And Nemo mentions, I do have a route planned out, and that's thanks to the paper moon acting as our compass. Even the paper moon's route would take us 62 hours and nearly 700 attempts to get it right, and we need it to happen right now. And so right here is Nemo sending his ship in and out of space-time with the zero cell by straight up punching through it, just in order to get close enough to do anything significant. So I'll cut the distance down from infinite to finite by making a series of intermittent zero cells. Wait, what? You can't do that. Not even the Nautilus can handle consecutive zero cells. The border is made for punching through void space, not jumping through it like a flying fish. But Nemo says, bump all that, I'm about to make it happen. And this is where Grand Lancer comes in. Nemo cranks up the ship to 120% of its natural output. You got Chaos blasting us with the same hit that he gave to Ares, and we're surviving it. Nemo says, but with my Nautilus, the shadow border, and Hephaestus's power all helping out, we can still give him a run for his money. We got that help. We have the help of all the gods. We have Romulus giving us defense, the shadow border being core driven by Poseidon's power. All of these different things still shouldn't have been enough for us to survive. A noble attempt, but this is nuts. One part that I will say actually makes sense is, of course, none other than the part with Musashi, because Musashi is one who has actually reached void space that's canonically true in and outside the verse. And so what she did is not just impressive for her, but the magnitude of what a servant can do overall. And this is easily why she's a top servant, even if that meant her sacrifice. Because again, and I say it all the time, we never kill chaos. I could barely even say that we beat chaos. What we did was we sealed chaos off from continuing to get to us. That's literally the best that we could do, because this man opened up a rift out of nowhere over the entire chapter and was about to lift all of Earth, us included. She says, slicing through the void is my destiny. I shall break through the void to reach the truth. I shall pass beyond the state of zero. It was a single flash of a sword, a blade that should have never been able to hit its target, a zero slash that reached its mark with perfect accuracy. How can I prove the existence of something that reaches beyond void, beyond non-existence? How can I describe what she did to reach a being whose very essence lies in non-existence? To strike a chaotic void that lay past a gap in the universe beyond time and space itself. I can't. It's impossible to put into words. Her blade did indeed rend the very sky, causing the god of the void to disappear beyond space-time without so much of a gasp as a surprise. And she says, not a bad job for Musashi, who shouldn't even exist, huh? That was beyond perfect, if I do say so myself. And then of course she disappears. Musashi burned out every ounce of her spirit origin, but at the time this is something unlike anything we had ever seen, and I still remember it happening in JP. People were like, wait, this is Solomon all over again, and we haven't seen her since. So she can't be summoned again either, at least main canon wise. And this just goes into a whole nother video, how her affinity, the realm of nothingness, because remember, what is Void Shiki's origin? Nothingness, emptiness, a place that Musashi has been to, a place that Sasaki has also been to when they fought each other in Shimosa. I feel like that deserves a little bit of light. But my point here is that Musashi is one of those many people that have tapped into the void, or in other words, the root. She basically used the root to fight against the root. There was literally no other way. If Musashi wasn't there, we died, basically, because who else was going to close the rift? That's what I'm saying. What she just did was something on par with the true magics, is something on par with the mystic eyes, all these different things that are an extension of the root anyway. I also will agree that it has to be a little bit lesser because she had to take her own life in order to do it, but the fact still remains that she's even capable. A lot of people aren't. I mean, this up front explains to you why she can jump dimensions, because her jumping dimensions is literally just a lesser version of this. And you might be thinking, well, that's because of her mystic eyes, that's because of her heavenly eye. And what I'm saying is that's why she has the heavenly eye. That's where it comes from. It's the root connection is how she's doing that. So chaos is and always will be a huge enemy. I know a lot of people might not give him his credit because of recency bias. You know, a lot of people tend to forget once the new thing shows up, but man, what a time.